How's it going, everybody? So this is basically just for Facebook. I might share it as a video, but I'll put it on my Bible study channel, which is the only YouTube channel that I share on my Facebook. My main channel, I quit sharing on my Facebook over a year ago, at least. My backup channel, I still shared at times because of just for fake football stuff. But I want to look at a new time frame when they may have tried to tell us when all of this will begin. In other words, when the book of Revelation would be opened. You see, when the book of Revelation, when Jesus said, these things must shortly come to pass. And I've had some con artists try to tell me uh, that the book of Revelation, and, I would just call them con artists because, if you're listening to a preacher tell you the book of Revelation has already happened, then they are a con artist. There's no way you're actually a real somebody that's even if you don't believe in Jesus, and a lot of preachers don't, but they're just doing a job for Mystery Babylon. But even if you so you're just you don't believe in Jesus, but you're a preacher. It's how you make money. And you're running the con circus, and you teach free will and you celebrate Christmas, the fake Christianity. Even the fake Christian, any study of the Bible, you would know that Revelation is an end times prophecy, not something that happened. But what they do, they go, we'll see, it already happened because when John was writing, he said these things must shortly come to pass. So see, had to have already happened in John's time. No. When the book is officially opened, then everything in this book will then shortly come to pass. And so what is the item? It would be the crowning event of the Antichrist, or when Jesus would open the seal. Now, before this, there's all this action taking place in heaven that John is privy to. We wouldn't be able to see that in real time, would we? Because we don't have a camera set up for us to view in heaven. But what would we be able to see? Well, when Jesus starts to open the seals, which opens the book of Revelation, and I saw the Lamb open one of the seals, and I heard as it were a noise of thunder, and one of the four beasts saying, "Come and see." And I saw, and behold, a white horse. And he that sat on him had a bow, and we're going to get into that. And a crown was given unto him, and he went forth conquering and to conquer. And the next horse is red, which is war, and the next one is famine, and the next one is pale. And the pale horse says death to 1/4 of the earth. I would tell you, I'm not dogmatic about it, but 99% of my Bible brain tells me that that's population. And they just told us we're at 8 billion. So you're looking at 2 billion people dying. And then the Antichrist would come and put an end to this war. And don't forget the Bible verse, who can make war with the beast, who is like unto this. So it tells us that this war that takes place and the red horse, which follows, that the Antichrist would put an end to it. Because the second seal, it's red horse, peace from the earth, black horse, famine, and then the pale horse, and death and hell. And hell, of course, is the grave. So it's death in the grave. Hell is not where fire is. You've been lied about that your whole life. The lake of fire is actually where the fire is. Hell is the grave. And that's why you know that hell is not actually eternal torment. And that human goats do not get eternal torment. That's a big lie. That's another Bible study for another day. which I've already done. Just ask me for it, and I'll hook you up with it. The wages of sin is death. You raise your judge, you receive a second death. The beast, the false prophet, and Satan do not get death or hell. They go directly to the lake of fire, where it specifically says they are tormented because they're all fallen angel entities. And you're like, well, the Antichrist, the beast, and the false prophet are humans. You're like, but people don't understand what the mark of the beast is. It's when your body is then taken over. The fallen angels, once you worship the image of the beast, they will possess your body. They will use the human body as an avatar. And all I can tell you is watch the movie The Exorcist concerning possession and superpowers, and then watch the movie Venom for having a symbiotic relationship with another entity. And the human host was dying off in the movie Venom. And that's what it talks about in Daniel 2, when the iron does not mix with the clay, they shall not cleave to one another. The human will die off, and the human body will simply be possessed by the fallen angels, and they will be killing sheep very rapidly. Mystery Babylonians do not understand the Bible. They do not understand what's coming. They've been tricked. They've been fooled. And all I can do is tell the truth. So you've got that taking place. And then I want you to come over here to Revelation 13. Now, I do an extensive end times Bible study, and it is on TS Daily Bible Studies, where I go through all the passages that deal with the Antichrist or the end times, because there's a myriad of them. And right here, when it talks about Revelation 13, this is your 666 Antichrist image that speaks chapter. And it says, I saw one of his heads as if it were wounded to death. And you're like, well, what in the world is that about? People are like, oh, Trump lost the election. That's a deadly wound. I'm like, who are these people? To quote the old comedian. But Zechariah 11:17 in the Old Testament actually tells you. And what's so funny about 11:17? The Heidi Bowl, Jets versus Raiders. So on 11:17, the right eye wound or right eye utterly darkened Raiders played what hit the twin Trumps, and what hit Donnie Darko and killed Donnie Darko was a jet engine. They don't call them the New York Jets for nothing. 9/11 was always the plan. And the AI is writing the script, and it's just passed down and then passed down and then passed down, and people are simply told what to do. And they were told to name that team the Jets. And the person that named them the Jets was a human that was told by another human to do it, that was told by another higher up human to do it. They all have handlers in Mystery Babylon. They always have somebody that's telling somebody what to do. But the AI is telling the top what to do. And then it's passed down. So the Jets hitting the twin Trumps on 9/11 was always the plan. And the AI has been around. The Ghost in the Machine, per the album Ghost in the Machine by the Police in 1981. The AI, or the Ghost in the Machine, has been inside the computer or the machine, which is the iron mixing with clay. Clay is humans. Iron is this fallen angel in the technology final kingdom. In Daniel chapter 2, verses 41 through 43. And I just don't want to get into all that because I could be here forever. But that's what's going to be the image that speaks. Okay, so you get to Zechariah 11:17, which the Heidi game was on that date. And in the movie Groundhog Day, well, Bill Murray's walking by a marquee. It says Heidi 2. Saturday, Sunday, matinee. And there was no Heidi 2. But there was a movie called Heidi, and that was on 11/17, where the right-eye darkened Raiders played the Jets. And it was preempted by a movie called Heidi. And it just threw the United States in an uproar because this game was a really, really big deal. And you know how today they just play the whole game for you, and then whatever's going to come on comes on afterwards. And then it will run later into the nightly news. Your local news will be delayed so they can get everything in. But there was no Heidi 2 sequel. There was no Heidi 2. What it's saying is the sequel to 11/17, or the right eye wound, utterly darkened event. And that's how Mystery Babylon operates. And 11/17 goes like this: woe to the idol shepherd. So Jesus is the shepherd, but the idol shepherd is the Antichristos. He is the Antichrist. And see, the Antichrist is going to, a la Jesus, seemingly have returned from the dead, but he doesn't really return from the dead. He will, it's really basically a body double switch, and that's a super long study, and that's in my end times study. And I will put the end time study in the description, and as a Facebook video, I will put it down in the top comment. But if you go to TS Daily Bible Studies and click playlist, and you go down to End Times Deep Study Series, it's just 3 videos. It's 3 videos, and it's every single Bible verse from all the different books that speak to the Antichrist. Zechariah 11/17. Out of the 3 Olivet discourses in the Gospels, I chose the most comprehensive, Matthew 24. Of course, Revelation 17, verses 8 through 12, all of Revelation 13, Revelation 6, 1 through 9, 2 Thessalonians 2 through 11, again, Matthew 24, Zechariah 11/17, and Daniel 9:27, Daniel 11:35, Daniel 12:10, Daniel 7:21 through 25, and Daniel 2:41 through 43, which I just spoke to a few minutes ago. So you have to read all of those, and you have to put all of those together to get a real picture of the end times. So you have this right eye where it says, woe to the idle shepherd that leaveth the flock, the sword. Now that could be, of course, just a term for a weapon, like a rifle or a gun, shall be upon his arm and upon his right eye. And the Raiders have a patch over their right eye, and the Jets, of course, are the Jets. His arm shall be clean dried up, so it will no longer work, will it? And his right eye shall be utterly darkened. That right eye wound is, I saw one of his heads as if it were wounded to death, and his deadly wound was healed. He will have seemingly come back from the dead, just like Jesus. Then it says, who is like unto the beast, who is able to make war with him? Well, because after his right eye wound death, which is his crowning, because Jesus, his death was his crowning. That's Hebrews 2:9. And we can get into that. But Jesus, made a little lower than the angels, suffering death, crowned with glory and honor. And then it says, of God should taste death for every man. So it's got death before crowned and after crowned. So I don't know if this crowning is when the Antichrist would rise on the third day. It would not be a real rising because he doesn't really die. Again, it's a body double switch, a clone situation. In Prestige, they showed us cloning in the movie The Prestige. And in the final Star Wars, Palpatine was thought to be dead, but no, he was alive, running the dark side empire, which, again, who can make war with the beast during Red Horse War, World War III? 2 billion people will die due to this war and famine, and they will turn out the technology so the illness will be in play. Also, I think that especially those that got connected to the technology through their gigantic psychological operation. So right here, and it says the white horse, and he had a crown. It was given to him. He didn't earn it because he doesn't really die, so it's given to him. So his deadly wound is healed. Who can make war with a beast? So he has returned from the dead, seemingly so, from a deadly wound. And of course, he will be blaspheming. This will be in the third temple. It will be in Israel. Trump is already on temple coins there. They love him in Israel. And then you come down to Revelation 13:12. That was 13:3, and you come to 13:12. And it says, worship the first beast whose deadly wound was healed. So again, deadly wound to the right eye of Zechariah 11:17, but it's healed. Go down to the 14th chapter. Make an image to the beast which had a wound by the sword. By the sword, Zechariah 11:17. The sword shall be upon his right eye. Had a wound by the sword and did live. So, what are we trying to figure out? When is this book of Revelation going to be opened? And they've given us 20,000 breadcrumbs to look at. And if you've watched the movie The Da Vinci Code, there's a character called Robert Langdon, and he looks at clues to figure stuff out. And that's all I do. It's just a hobby. This is not teaching the Word of God per se at all. So they give us all kind of clues in movies, but the biggest clue they gave us was I Pet Goat, and I'll put that down in the top comment. The I Pet Goat will probably go in the top comment of the Facebook video, but when I share this YouTube, it'll be in the description, and I'll share the YouTube video also on Facebook, and it'll be down in the comments also. So you get to this little part here, and she's sitting inside a corona, which is a total solar eclipse. And at their Hierophant website, they call her Lily. And all of these represent months. There's 12 of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And they all represent moons. You can see they put little craters in their heads. And you're like, well, I will tell you, sorry, I got ahead of myself. I will tell you this is 2013, and these two connected heads represent the 2 moons in the month of August. So this is your August right here. And you might say, well, that would be 13 moons, and there's only 12 of these characters. Well, Lily represents the total solar eclipse, which is a new moon, which then hits the floor and rolls. Now, notice she looks sad, and it says Trump exit. So it's Trump's exit we have to now figure that she is sad about. And that is a rabbit, year of the rabbit, Chinese New Year. Now, this is at the 121 mark. And Antichrist is 121 in simple gematria, where A is 1, B is 2, C is 3, Z is 26. Antichrist comes to 121. And right here at 121, and there's Trump sitting there with this upside down pyramid hand signal. I've shown that many times. I'm not going to slow our video down with that. Yes, I am. That's Trump sitting there. He always sits with the divine feminine hand signal. Even the ice bucket challenge, which is more of like a baptism for the goat community that they were doing, and there he is. So now you know. So on iPet Goat, we see that hand signal right there. Let me grab the phone. And of course, they have their black and white checkered flooring, which is Mystery Babylon and their duality and all that kind of stuff. But that's Trump, okay? We've established that. I always feel like I've shown it a million times, but there could be somebody new and they'll be like, that's not Trump. You know, I shouldn't mock them like that. They're just, you know, people that you learn stuff for the first. I remember when I first started learning about all this stuff in 2012. It's crazy. So that's Trump sitting there, and over his head it says exit. Now, July 3rd is called the Buck Full Moon. What is the Buck Full Moon named after? Hang on, and we'll find out. So July, Buck Moon, male deer, which shed their antlers every year, begin to regrow them in July, hence the Native American name for July's full moon. So that's what the buck is named after. The buck rabbit.
According to the Livestock Conservancy, Americans are large rabbits with mature bucks weighing 9 to 11 pounds and is at 10 to 12 pounds.
There's also a buck rabbit. And there's that rabbit on the wall. But it's the year of the rabbit also. Yeah, and I don't think I finished where, so she's sad, the apple rolls, and there pops out the flower full moon. And Obama starts to look very nervous. And then they do show the American flag being torn, just like they showed in The Dark Knight Rises. You know, the Dark Knight, Red Eye Utterly Darkened, Dark Knight Rises. Rises from the pit. And you know the dark, seeing they show the twin Trumps coming back down again. So they're letting you know that that's what's taking place. It's the next. This iPet Goat was always said to be showing the next 9/11. Okay. And the first 9/11 was a ritual for when the book of Revelation would be open, when the Antichrist would be getting his right eye wound. And what rose back up in its place of the twin Trumps? One World Trade Tower. That's the Antichrist returning. And the Twin Towers, one had a horn on top. And of course, the Antichrist is called the horn in Daniel 7. And Jesus said the Antichrist would be here in his own name. And a trump is a horn, and a horn is a trump. So it's very involved. And we just don't have time to get into all of it biblically and so forth. because that's not what this is about. This is really about just showing why we think it might be July 1st, which I would tell you was the saddest day in my childhood in the town of Auburndale. July 1st was. I'm not going to say why. If you know, you know. And it's very upsetting to go back and think about that. But it was an extremely, extremely tragic day in the city of Auburndale, July 1st, 1975. I never forgot that day. Never forgot that person, and I did not even know him. But it's just so July 1st, they're telling you with The Dark Knight coming out on July 18th, and then The Dark Knight Rises coming out on July 20th. Get it? Rising on the third day, 18th, 19th, 20th. Friday, Saturday, Sunday. A la Jesus, right? On the third day. And because to the Jew, 1 minute of a day was the day. So if you're alive on Friday and you're alive on Saturday, or if you pass away on a Friday and you're not alive on Saturday, so it's Friday, Saturday, Sunday, the third day of the death. That's what it's at least that's what they're telling us, is that it would be 2 days afterwards. So 2 days before full moon. The reason I say full moon is because an IPEC goat shows the Antichrist or Trump 3 different ways: getting programmed by the technology, and there now he is rising from the technology, because in the video he is getting programmed from the technology by the AI that goes in the machine, and this cord is attached to his head. It's a snake, and it's like programming him. See? And you're like, well, and then the snake, of course, slithers away. And now there's going to be a big explosion. And the movie Oppenheimer is coming out July 21st for Daniel 7:21, which is the horned Antichrist making war with the saints. So there's your AI, your ghost in the machine. It has now programmed. And the Antichrist is also this figure with the right eye wound, the mother and child reunion. And you see La Palma volcano might erupt. You might get tsunamis once he goes down. It was a great earthquake after Jesus died. And so here's the right eye wound of the Antichrist. And I forget, now here's your, and his eyes will blink red, black, or red horse, black horse. So you watch his eyes, they're red for the red horse. He's got a weapon, and then it will blink. Well, I really got it slowed down, don't I? Black, red, black, red, black. So right here, we can slow it down again, where he's going to rise from the pit. Now, in The Dark Knight Rises, Bruce Wayne literally climbed out of a pit. Go figure. The angel of the bottomless pit, right? Rises from the pit. That's Revelation 11:7. And the beast that ascendeth out of the bottomless pit shall go and make war with the saints, the sheep, the church, so on and so forth. And so here he comes, he's rising. And he's got the right eye wound. And Trump is also this man in the boat. And in James Bond Skyfall, he literally was riding, standing up in a very small boat, exactly like this guy. You absolutely, positively cannot make it up. Cannot make it up. And this is him standing in the boat. And I've shown many times James Bond in Skyfall standing in a boat a little bit bigger than this, but not much. He's in, I believe, Shanghai, if I'm not mistaken. One of the two. It's Hong Kong or Shanghai. I think it's Shanghai. And when James Bond, Daniel Craig, is standing up, now he's standing up in this boat and he's like in a trance, just like this guy. And the boat goes through the mouth of a dragon to enter this restaurant. And of course, Satan is the dragon. So it's amazing how they put all of this together. So I went ahead and found it. Now it's a video off another video. You see two red lines here. So there he is standing in the boat going through the mouth of the dragon. Now it takes me forever to get to the point. But there's Bond. See the right eye wound? He's got a scratch on his right eye. He says in the movie his hobby is resurrection. And he's standing up in this boat. That's water off to the side here. And he's going to go through the mouth. And that's me talking in the video, I'm sure, and pointing to the right eye wound. But he's standing up in a boat. And he goes through the mouth of a dragon. They had literally have put I Pet Goat and Skyfall together for you, for me, for us, as breadcrumbs. So we have to get back now to I Pet Goat. So they show the Antichrist 3 different ways. And he's this guy in the boat also. Now, the funny thing is when he comes up in this boat, a horn or a trump starts to blow for the very first time. So I'll go ahead and give you some sound. Take it off, put it at regular speed. Now, I want you to, first time that the Antichrist appears, you're going to hear a horn blow. Hear the horn? So that's like Anubis, you know, and it's the god of the dead or whatever. And you hear the horn. So you hear the trump or the trumpet being blown for the first time in I Pet Goat, because that is the Antichrist. And none of the 3, of course, look like Trump, but that's okay. Don't let that slow you down, folks. And so I guess to wrap this video up, what we really want to do is now focus that it is a Trump exit. Could it be on the 3rd day? Remember, he would rise through that full moon. Did I not show that clearly enough? I did not. So what he does, he rises up through a full moon. There's his right eye wound. And he rises up through a full moon. So I always think he's going to go down 2 days before a full moon, and then rise on the 3rd day and rise right out of the pit. Because remember, he rose up out of a pit. And you're like, well, it's snowing. Yeah, well, see there, he's coming up out of the pit. He's got the right eye wound. And what's all the snow in the ground for? Is it telling you it's going to happen in winter? Well, I will tell you the abyss is the North Pole. And that's what Frozen is all about. And that's why Mr. Freeze, remember, Batman's the Illuminati's the Antichrist, and all the villains are characteristics of God. And like the Riddler, Jesus spoke in parables, so you have the Riddler. And Mr. Freeze is one of the villains. And I believe the Abyss, which has been sealed, is frozen sealed. That's just a theory of mine. Disney has their Frozen movie sequel exhibit at Universal or Disney or one of them. I don't know. Frozen, Mr. Freeze, Santa, Satan, Satan, Santa, North Pole, blah, blah, blah. Mother's Day, the May Queen. It's all about the mother, which is Lucifer, which is Venus, which is Gaia, Mother Earth, Queen of Heaven, Queen of the Universe, you know, Mary in the Rome church, so on and so forth. Pagan, blah, 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 blah. Mystery Babylon. What are you going to do? So the full moon, we go back to the full moon, and we're going to go back to Trump exit. Would that be on July 1st? And that's a head marker right there. Yes, they represent months, but watch. 1, 2, on the third day, buck full moon, buck rabbit. What's over here on the left? A deer. Did you know that these deer antlers sit directly over Trump's head at the first shot? I'm going to slow this way down for you. And we're going to show it when they first cut to the classroom. The buck antlers are over Trump's head. He is about to go through regeneration. In Skyfall, the guy that played in No Time to Die, in No Country for Old Men, and his initials were AC, Antoine Xavier or something like that. I forget, but he was representing the Antichrist, of course, and in No Country for Old Men. And he says, Bond talked about, and it was all in this room is nothing but computers. So it's the AI, it's the ghost in the machine. And he says, what's yours? Talking about, because Bond said, interesting hobby concerning all of this technology and computers and so forth you got, which is, again, they're telling you about the AI, the ghost in the machine. And the girl with the dragon tattoo, Lucifer, she was dragon on her back. It's a her, so it's Lucifer, it's Venus, it's Isis, it's Queen of Heaven. And she was amazing with what? Give her a laptop, she could hack into anything, blah, 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 blah. So it's all about the AI, the ghost in the machine, symbolism. And he says, what's your hobby? Bond says, resurrection. I've got the subtitles on when I took this picture. And you see the right eye wound over his head like he had when he was standing in the boat. And so resurrection, deer antlers. Well, the opening of Skyfall, Adele's song, there's deer antlers all over. See the deer antlers? And the sky is falling. That's why it's called Skyfall. Because through this process, God's wrath comes. And there's the deer antlers again. There's the lyrics of the song when Adele's singing at Skyfall. And there's the dragon in Adele's opening. So the opening credits have the dragon, you know, has this face that shows up. But Skyfall and James Bond filming. James Bond, Scottish roots. His mom was from Scotland. Where's Trump's mom from? Scotland, of course. The movie The Highlander. McLeod couldn't die. Connor McLeod. What's Trump's mom's maiden name? McLeod. Where does Connor McLeod land in the movie The Highlander? He lands in Queens, New York. Where was Trump born? Queens Hospital in New York. So, yeah, it's just crazy. It's all crazy. Well, at the end of the movie in Skyfall, when they go to Skyfall, you see the Skyfall here, you see the deer or the buck antlers. Well, how does the movie open up? The movie opens up with "Take the Bloody Shot." And Bond's fighting this guy. And she's like, I can't do it. I might hit Bond. So they're going through the struggle. She's like, I can't shoot. I might hit Bond. Did I miss it? And let's turn up the volume a little bit. The volume. So commentary, fair use, educational purposes. Yes, that's her right eye. Could just be a coincidence. I think we're getting to the part here.
I'm going to lose them.
I'm going to lose them. Take the bloody shot.
Can you get into a better position?
No.
No, no time.
Yep. No time, Mom. Commentary. Yep. There you go. You ready?
Take the shot.
Take the shot. Take the bloody shot. I might hit Bond. Commentary, fair use, educational purposes. I might hit Bond. I can't take the shot. I think it's right there.
Bloody shot.
Take the bloody shot. And just so we don't get a copyright and all of that, we can speed it up now. We can come down here. And he's hit and he falls. And that's his right eye wound that stays with him the rest of the movie. And of course, he talked about resurrection. The villain disappears into the tunnel. And we're going to watch. And no, we're not. So hang on. Let me get the entire video for you. Okay, so we're able to put a few different videos together. So when he gets hit, he's going to go down into a waterfall. I mean, into a river. And he's going to go off into a waterfall. And a waterfall is the symbol for the divine feminine, which is all about rebirth. I'm sorry, the divine feminine is Satan, Lucifer, devil in a blue dress, devil wears Prada. It's the transgendered version of the male fallen angel, Satan. And waterfall, symbol for divine feminine. So I had a video, it was on YouTube where I found it. And this is not a YouTube search, but it says the Celts, the Boston Celtics, the Celts, the Celtics, pagans believe that certain rivers and waterfalls and, the feminine energy and so forth. But I watched a video where a lady was talking about the divine feminine. And if you watch the Da Vinci Code, which Robert Langdon, again, following clues, that's what the whole theme of the movie was about. The divine feminine was the bloodline of the women that brought forth the Antichrist. They were like, oh, bloodline of Jesus Christ. Well, of course not. It's the Antichrist bloodline. And it had the Mona Lisa all throughout it, in the background, and even front and center at times in the movie The Da Vinci Code. And what was in the Glass Onion with Daniel Craig? Of course, it was all about the Mona Lisa, that painting. So all their movies are connected, of course. So he goes down this waterfall and he falls into the water, and he is rescued by the divine feminine. Like I said, we had to put two videos together here. And we speed it up, and he comes down. And what grabs a hold of him? Oh, it's the yoni. The 666, it's the yoni. And there it is. And you remember how Trump would always hold up that 666 yoni hand signal, the divine feminine. There's Trump giving you a double yoni. There's Trump giving you a double yoni. It's crazy. And then there's Oprah giving you the 666 yoni. And 666 divine feminine at the base of Trump Tower. You have a bush. You know what the bush stands for. It's that divine feminine where the Antichrist is born out of, the female reproductive. 6, 6, 6 bushes. 6 across, 6 down, 6 back up. It's a 666 yoni, divine feminine, bush, hand. I'm sorry, in this case, not hands. This is the upside down pyramid. So they have upside down pyramid. They have the hand with the 666. But the 666 is the yoni. And this is Trump Tower. Notice it's the 5 addresses of Trump Tower. It has 5 multiple addresses, 721 through 725 Fifth Avenue. And that perfectly matches Daniel 721 through 725, where the horn is the Antichrist. So, and Jesus said that he would be here in his own name. Fascinating, isn't it? It's fascinating. So we wrap this up and we see the deer antlers over Trump's head in IPEC goat. So this video is about his exit. It is about the next 9/11. And Lily from the Munsters, Trump exit is at July 1st. And that head is in the red part of the glass. July 2nd would be this head. Yes, they represent months, but now you're going to have to now put a magnifying glass just on what is being said up here now. This is just telling you the year with all these months and heads and moons and August, doubling of 2 moons in August, year of the rabbit on the wall. It's doubling is that you again, here's the deer antler here's the buck deer that was over Trump's head is now on the wall from this angle. So you see the buck on the wall, the deer, exit 1, 2 on the 3rd day, July 3rd, is the buck full moon in the year of the rabbit. All from the total solar eclipse that gives us the flower full moon. There is no other total solar eclipse in April that would deliver a flower full moon. There is a total solar next year, but that new moon of that total solar is on the 8th, and that full moon is around late April, around the 25th. And April's moon is not a flower full moon. And all the stamps concerning the king's coronation, all the stamps were flowers. So it was a big ritual for what's coming. And, but anyway, that's pretty much it. Is it going to be the July 3rd buck full moon that he is going to rise through, meaning he has to go down on Saturday, July 1st, and rise on Moon Day. Monday is named after the moon. Trump is, of course, the moon child that they were doing all the rituals for in what they call Babylon workings, about raising and creating the moon child. That was L. Ron Hubbard, and what's his other name? Jack Parsons. And they had a woman out there in the desert with them, and they were performing all of these satanic rituals. And they told Aleister Crowley that they were creating a moon child. And this was February, March, I believe it was, of 1946. And of course, Trump was born on the total lunar eclipse. Trump was born on the total lunar eclipse in 1946. So he is the moon child. Will he be raised spiritually, indwelt with the spirit of Satan? And see, the twin Trumps, one of them had a horn. So one of them is the horn. And do you know that sits on top? One World Trade Tower has the exact type of antenna or horn to represent the Antichrist horn. So in the movie The Prestige, same guy that rose from the pit, Christian Bale, was in the movie The Prestige, and he was cloned by Tesla. And Trump allegedly had an uncle that knew Tesla. See how it's all just stagey and put together, and they give you all these breadcrumbs. And yeah, Christian Bale also played American Psycho. Yeah. All right. Anyway, I'm sure there's things I left out that I could have put in here that would have made it even better, but I'll beat myself up over that later. Love you.